My girlfriend went on a Hawaii yacht trip with a crypto guy. She said, he's just a safe option. I'm keeping him until I figure things out. She didn't know her safe option turned out to be her downfall. Hey Reddit, so this is going to sound insane, but I, 27 male, spent a year dating a girl who thought being an influencer made her untouchable. Between yacht trips with crypto guys, fake brand deals, and calling me her little code nerd, she pushed things way past disrespect. I kept my cool, played it smart, and when her ego finally went unchecked, I decided to stop being her safety net. What happened after? Let's just say she found out the hard way what happens when the mask slips. So, yeah, I'd been with Audrey for about 9 months when all this started to get messy. She'd moved into my apartment 2 months before, and at first it was fine. Honestly, when we met, she was fun, pretty, outgoing, the type that could talk to a brick wall and somehow make the wall feel like it needed to follow her on Instagram. I thought I'd found someone with energy to balance out my quieter, more sarcastic side. But the fun version of Audrey didn't stick around long. Somewhere between month 6 and month 9, she got obsessed with this idea of becoming a full-time influencer. Like, she'd always liked posting selfies and whatnot, but suddenly it turned into a religion. She landed 2 or 3 minor brand deals, like a teeth whitening pen and some knockoff leggings from a company that probably operated out of a garage. And suddenly she was strutting around the apartment like she was CEO of Instagram. Me? I work at a tech company. I code, I debug, I get paid every 2 weeks, and I actually enjoy what I do. Nothing flashy, but it's stable, and I'm good at it. Audrey thought this was hilarious. She'd ruffle my hair like I was a kid and call me her little code nerd every time she wanted to remind me she was the star in the relationship. You're lucky I'm with you, she'd joke, smirking at her phone while scrolling through DMs. Do you know how many guys would kill for my attention? Yeah, all 12 of your bot followers, I'd shoot back. I always roasted her right back, and my tone was playful. But in my head, I was clocking all these red flags stacking up like unpaid parking tickets. It wasn't that she was ambitious. Ambition is cool. It was the entitlement, the way she acted like she was doing charity work by being in a relationship with me, as if me having a normal job and not chasing clout was some embarrassing personality flaw. She'd tell her friends little digs about me too. Stuff like, oh, he's just a computer guy, safe and boring. I'd laugh it off because if you can't roast yourself, you're not really confident, but still, the ignorance was wild. The shift got worse once she started getting attention online. We'd go out for dinner and she'd spend the whole time arranging her food for pictures instead of eating it. I remember one Friday night in particular. I'd just wrapped a long week at work and I wanted to chill with Netflix and pizza. Audrey, though, came storming into the living room, wearing some sparkly dress that looked like it was fighting for its life. Tom invited me to this yacht party in Hawaii. Crypto guys, investors, big names. Huge networking opportunity, she said, standing there like she'd just announced she got accepted into Harvard. I looked up from my laptop. Tom? The random crypto bro who's been sliding into your DMs? He's not random, she snapped. He has like 200,000 followers and a penthouse. This could really boost my brand. Her brand. The same brand that consisted of 10 staged selfies and a coupon code nobody used. I leaned back, folded my arms, and said, cool. Have fun. That threw her off. She blinked at me, like she expected me to blow up or beg her not to go. Instead, I just smirked. You don't care? She asked, almost daring me to argue. I leaned back in my chair. Not really. If Hawaii on some guy's yacht feels like a smart move for your career, go for it. Just don't expect me to clap when you come back telling me you discovered the secret to success out there. She frowned and flicked her hair, like she was posing for an invisible camera. You're so insecure sometimes. This is business. I gave her a slow nod. If that's what you want to call it, then sure. I'm not stopping you. Just remember, every business decision has consequences. She hated when I didn't rise to the bait. I could see it in the way her jaw clenched. But me? I was done with her BS. Internally, I'd already decided. This wasn't a girlfriend anymore. It was a walking PR stunt waiting to implode. That night, lying in bed alone, I thought about everything. The constant digs, the ego, the way she acted like she was the prize when in reality, she was just delusional with a ring light. 9 months in and I wasn't dating Audrey anymore. I was babysitting her. I didn't say it out loud, but in my head I knew. She could go to Hawaii all she wanted. I wasn't her anchor, her fan club, or her safety net anymore. If she wanted to act like an influencer, I was about to show her how fragile her image really was. And for the first time in weeks, I actually slept easy. By the time I woke up, Audrey was already in Hawaii. Her Instagram story had a view of some palm trees and a pool chair, tagged networking weekend, let's go. I stared at it, smirked, and closed the app. Whatever game she thought she was playing, I was already ahead. I made coffee, sat at the kitchen table, and looked around the apartment. 2 months of her stuff scattered everywhere. Half my closet hijacked by dresses she only wore for pictures, bathroom shelves stacked with skincare products she never finished, ring lights taking up corners like oversized spider legs. It didn't even feel like my place anymore. That's when I decided I wasn't waiting for her to come back so we could talk. No long speeches, no begging. She wanted Hawaii? Perfect. She could come back to a packed apartment. I grabbed boxes from storage and started clearing her stuff. Every pair of shoes, every half-used makeup kit, every cheap brand deal accessory she'd bragged about. The more I packed, the lighter the apartment felt. About halfway through, I opened the drawer where she kept her laptop and charger. That's when I saw it. Her old phone, plugged into the wall. She'd upgraded just last month and only took the new one to Hawaii, leaving this one behind. Curiosity got me. I don't snoop by default, but considering the way she'd been acting, I figured if there were answers, they'd be in there. I unlocked it easily. She wasn't exactly subtle with passwords. Within minutes, I found the group chat with her friends. The very first message I read had my stomach twisting, not from pain, but from pure disbelief. He's just a safety net. I'm keeping him around until I figure things out. That's what she'd typed. About me. The guy who literally gave her a roof over her head. I laughed out loud. The kind of laugh that sounds harsh because it's the only thing keeping you from punching a wall. Scrolling further, it got worse. Screenshots with guys. Messages with Tom about how Hawaii is just us this time. I don't want drama. Then another thread with Xavier. Some finance bro she'd clearly been seeing on the side, where she promised, "You're the only one who really gets me." Both of them thinking they were the main guy. I shook my head, dropped the phone back on the desk, and sat there for a second. Not angry, not broken, just clear. Everything I'd suspected was true. Audrey wasn't confused or immature. She was strategic, but in the laziest, most selfish way possible. The difference was, she thought she was the only one playing chess. She had no clue I'd already flipped the board. I finished packing with new energy, tossing her stuff into boxes like I was clearing trash from a room I'd outgrown. Designer knockoffs, wigs she'd bought for photos, receipts for clothes she returned after posting them online. I stacked it all by the door. By the afternoon, the apartment looked like mine again. Clean, simple, no ring lights, no fake influencer junk crowding the corners. I ordered a storage unit, paid for a month up front, and scheduled a pickup. By the time she came back from her business trip, her entire influencer world would already be boxed up and scheduled for pickup later that night. While I ate leftovers and scrolled on my phone, her story updated again. I laughed again. She wasn't even trying to hide it. That was the part that almost impressed me. Her complete ignorance of how easy she made this for me. I didn't text her, didn't call, didn't leave some dramatic breakup note. Nothing. I wasn't about to give her the satisfaction of thinking she got a reaction out of me. Instead, I sat back, relaxed, and thought about the look on her face when she walked in the door. She'd expect me sitting there, probably sulking, maybe ready to argue. Instead, she'd find her whole influencer life in boxes, her key deactivated from the door lock, and me sitting there calm, collected, and done. It wasn't just about ending things, it was about control. For months, she'd acted like she owned the relationship, like I was disposable, like I should be grateful she even acknowledged me. Packing her life up while she was off chasing clout wasn't just a breakup. It was me taking the wheel back. That night, I slept easy again. No guilt, no doubts, no second guessing. Audrey could keep playing her influencer games in Hawaii. When she came back, she was going to realize I'd stopped playing mine. Audrey flew in on a Sunday evening, dragging her sunburned self into the apartment lobby like she'd just returned from conquering the world. She had sunglasses on indoors, hair tied in one of those messy buns she thought looked effortless, but really just screamed, "I slept on a stranger's couch." I was leaning against the counter near the mailboxes when she spotted me. She gave me that fake smile influencers use when they meet fans, not boyfriends. "Babe, I'm back," she said, stretching her arms out like I was supposed to run and hug her. I didn't move. I just nodded toward the corner where all her stuff was stacked neatly in boxes. "Yeah, I can see that. Your things are packed." The smile froze. She looked at the boxes, then back at me, like her brain needed time to process. What is this?" "It's called moving out," I said calmly. "Figured I'd give you a head start." Her jaw dropped. "Are you serious right now?" After everything I just built this week, after the connections I made, you're gonna throw a tantrum because I went on a networking trip? I almost laughed. Networking? That's what we're calling yacht lap dances now? That cracked the mask. She stomped over, heels clicking on the floor, face turning red under the sunburn. You're insane. You're literally insecure. That's your problem. You can't handle a woman who has options. No, I said, steady as a rock. I just don't babysit adults. Especially ones who think clout is a career. That one hit. She pointed a manicured finger in my face. You're a loser code nerd. That's what you are. I gave you a chance. Without me, nobody would even notice you exist. I smirked. Funny, the last 9 months, everyone's been noticing how loud you are. Doesn't seem like you needed my help blending in. Her volume rose fast. She was shouting now, drawing eyes from neighbors coming in and out of the building. You'll regret this. I'm the best thing that ever happened to you. No one else will ever put up with you. You'll die alone in your stupid little tech job while I cut her off, tilting my head toward the boxes. Yeah, big future. But right now you've got less than an hour before the storage guys swing by, so maybe start wheeling your empire outside. That set her off like gasoline on fire. She grabbed one of the boxes and hurled it to the floor, spilling clothes and fake designer bags everywhere. Then she shoved the box with her foot, screaming about how I ruined her life. By now, the lobby had an audience. Neighbors lined the walls, some pulling out phones. And that's when it happened. A guy from the 3rd floor, someone I barely knew, raised his phone and whispered loud enough for me to hear, "Yo, isn't that the Instagram chick?" Audrey must have heard too because she spun toward him, hair whipping, and yelled, "Don't you dare record me!" Which of course made him keep recording. She stomped, she screamed, she called me every name under the sun. The guy got the whole thing. Her red face, her shrieking about me being a loser, her claiming she was too good for me while standing next to spilled boxes of her junk. Finally, I stepped aside, folded my arms, and let her burn herself out. The more she yelled, the calmer I looked. To anyone watching, it was obvious. I wasn't the crazy one here. After about 10 minutes, she stormed out of the building, dragging a half-filled suitcase behind her. Phones followed her down the sidewalk like she was a celebrity on her way to rehab. By the next morning, the video was online. It started small, a local Facebook group post titled, "When Influencer Meets Reality." Then it got reposted on Instagram, then Reddit. Comments flooded in. This girl's delusional? Who screams at their boyfriend in public like that? I know her. She thinks she's hot stuff, but she owes people money for collabs. Lamau imagined being this entitled over fake followers. Audrey, true to form, tried to spin it. She posted a selfie in her car later that day with a caption, "Jealous people can't stand to see others succeed. Haters gonna hate. I'm still shining." But the comments didn't go her way. People dragged her in real time, bringing up the meltdown video. Shining? Girl, you looked like a toddler throwing a fit at Toys R Us. That her influencer glow cracked in less than 24 hours. She kept posting more defensive captions. Strong women get attacked the most, but every post got flooded with clown emojis. Me? I didn't post a thing, didn't respond, didn't even like a comment. I just sat back and watched as the empire she thought she'd built collapsed under the weight of one video and her own ignorance. And that's when I realized something important. For all her bragging about power, Audrey's entire identity was built on people's perception. One crack in the image, and she couldn't hold it together. The neighbor who filmed it handed me the real win. I didn't have to scream, didn't have to argue. I just had to stand there calm while she proved to everyone exactly who she was. The meltdown video did its job. Audrey's shiny little influencer mask had slipped, and people weren't buying the haters are jealous act anymore. But if there's one thing about Audrey, it's that she couldn't accept losing control. So she doubled down online. Every day for a week, she posted selfies with captions like, "Strong women are always misunderstood," and "Some people just can't handle confidence." The comments weren't kind. Half her followers bailed, and the ones who stayed either clowned her or asked what really happened. Watching her dig herself deeper was almost entertaining. Meanwhile, I stayed quiet. Didn't like, didn't comment, didn't give her a single breadcrumb. If she thought I was sitting in my apartment sulking, all the better. Instead, I was setting things up. Audrey had two main orbiters, Tom, the crypto guy, and Xavier, the finance bro. Both thought they were exclusive with her. I knew from her old messages that she was feeding them the same lines. "You're the only one who understands me. I hate drama, it's just us." Classic. So I created a couple of burner accounts. Nothing fancy, just clean enough to look real. Then I started dropping carefully timed hints. To Tom, I sent screenshots of Audrey with Xavier, captioned, "This your girl?" To Xavier, I sent the yacht clips of her with Tom, adding, "Thought you should know." No commentary, no follow-ups. Just enough to plant the doubt. It didn't take long. Xavier posted some cryptic story about snakes always expose themselves, while Tom wiped her from his feed entirely. I didn't need to stir the pot. The pot was already boiling. Audrey, of course, had no clue. She thought she still had them wrapped. So while I was playing chess, she was still out there posting staged latte shots and pretending her life was thriving. Then came the office incident. It was a Wednesday morning. I'd just walked into the lobby of my building, coffee in hand, when I heard my name being screamed like a fire alarm. "You think you're smart?" I turned, and there she was, Audrey, storming through the doors like a hurricane in sunglasses. Security tried to stop her, but she shoved past, eyes locked on me. "You think you can humiliate me?" she shouted, her voice echoing off the marble walls. Everyone froze. People at the front desk, co-workers waiting for the elevator. Even the janitor leaned on his mop to watch. She stomped up, grabbed my shirt collar, and hissed, "You'll regret this. I made you. You're nothing without me." I just looked at her, calm as ever, and said, "Audrey, you're proving my point again." That only made her scream louder. She started shouting about how I'd never find anyone better, how I was pathetic, how I was jealous of her lifestyle. At one point, she actually looked at everyone and yelled, "You code nerds are all the same," in front of half my coworkers. Security finally pulled her off, dragging her toward the doors as she kicked and cursed. Phones were out everywhere. I didn't even need to record. A dozen people already had. By the time she was outside, still screaming, my boss appeared. He didn't look angry, just concerned. He gestured for me to follow him upstairs. We sat down in his office, and he closed the door. "Everything okay at home?" he asked carefully. I sighed, placed my coffee on the table, and said, "Ex-girlfriend. Didn't take the breakup well. I'm sorry the office had to see that." He nodded slowly. "Look, I get it. Breakups are messy, but you can't let this kind of drama bleed into work. Clients notice things like this." "I understand," I said. Calm, steady. I wasn't going to argue or make excuses. "I'll make sure it doesn't happen again." That was all he needed. The meeting ended, and I went back to my desk like nothing had happened. Later that night, sitting in my apartment, I opened my laptop and started organizing everything. The meltdown video from the lobby. Screenshots of her texts calling me her safety net. Old clips of her on the yacht with Tom. Xavier's posts. All neatly dated, filed, and backed up. This wasn't about being petty anymore. It was about protection. Audrey had shown me exactly how far she'd go when she felt threatened, and I wasn't going to be caught off guard. As I scrolled through the folders, I couldn't help but smirk. For months, she'd thought she was untouchable. The prize, the queen, the one with all the power. But here she was, unraveling in public, screaming in office lobbies, while I sat at home playing archivist. The difference between us was simple. She needed people to believe her life was perfect. I didn't need anyone to believe anything. I just needed the truth on my side. And the truth was, Audrey was about to run out of places to hide. By Thursday afternoon, I was ready. All week, she'd been posting her positive vibes only garbage like nothing happened, trying to look unbothered while her follower count dropped by the hundreds. Meanwhile, I had my next move lined up. I used a burner email for the setup. A quick, anonymous message to both Tom and Xavier. "She'll be at Brass tonight. Alone. Vulnerable. Looking for comfort after her boyfriend left her." That was it. No names, no details, just bait. And I knew both of them well enough through her text to know they'd bite. Thursdays were Audrey's content nights at Brass. She loved posting selfies there, so I knew exactly where they'd find her. Tom couldn't stand the idea of losing face with investors, and Xavier couldn't resist proving he was the real man in her life. That night, I didn't go to Brass. I stayed home, laptop open, Instagram refreshed every few seconds. If there's one thing you can count on in this city, it's that someone's always recording. Around 10:45, the first clip popped up. A shaky phone video of Tom striding into Brass in his tailored jacket, scanning the crowd. The caption, "Crypto Bro on a mission LOL." 5 minutes later, another video surfaced. Xavier walking in from the other side, looking like he'd come straight from happy hour, face tight with anger. The comments under the clips were already buzzing. Wait, aren't both these dudes linked to that influencer chick? No way they're about to confront her. Then, the main event dropped. Someone live-streamed it from the pool table area. You could see Audrey at the bar, hair done up, wearing some flashy dress like she was auditioning for reality TV. She was mid-laugh with a group when Tom stormed over. "You think I'm stupid?" Tom's voice cut through the music. Audrey froze, her smile slipping. Tom, what are you? He held up his phone, waving messages on the screen. You've been playing me, taking my money, flying on my dime, while you're shacked up with your little boyfriend in Jersey. You're a professional gold digger. That's all you are. The bar went dead quiet except for the bass thumping in the background. People turned, phones came out, and then Xavier appeared. She's not just playing you, Xavier said, stepping forward, voice thick with anger. She's been love-bombing me for months, while she's with you, telling me I'm the only one who matters. He shoved his phone toward the crowd. Receipts don't lie. The camera zoomed in just enough to show Audrey's face drain of color. She tried to laugh it off, flipping her hair like she always did. Oh my God, you guys are so dramatic. You're both obsessed with me. This is embarrassing. But Tom wasn't letting her slide. He scrolled through a Telegram thread, shoving it in her face. You begged me to invest in your fake influencer brand. Promised exclusivity. Meanwhile, you're sitting on every lap in Jersey. My investors saw this gossip account crap, and now they're questioning me. You've cost me real money. Xavier leaned in, almost shouting. And you told me the same lines you told him. That you loved me. That you were leaving your boyfriend for me. You're nothing but a liar. Audrey tried to back away, but the crowd had circled around. You could hear the oohs and whispers. Someone yelled, "Exposed!" Another shouted, "Yo, get the receipts on camera!" At one point, Audrey snapped, "You're both pathetic. You should be thanking me for even giving you attention." That was the final nail. Xavier grabbed his drink and tossed it in her face. The crowd gasped, half laughing, half shocked. Audrey shrieked, mascara running, hair dripping, trying to swing at him. Tom blocked her path, holding up his phone like a shield. Security rushed in before it turned into a full brawl, dragging them apart as the live stream kept rolling. By midnight, the clips were everywhere. Newark Facebook groups, Instagram stories, even the subreddit had threads titled, "Local influencer gets exposed by her own men." The meltdown video from the lobby had been bad, but this was nuclear. I watched her follower count in real time, refreshing every few minutes. 47,000, 44,000, 41,000. By morning, she'd bled nearly 10,000 followers. Brands started quietly untagging her from collab posts, removing her from their pages. Screenshots flew around, showing companies no longer affiliated with her. Meanwhile, Audrey scrambled for damage control. She posted old couple photos of us. One from a wedding, one from the shore, all from months ago, captioning them with lines like, "True love can't be broken by lies." It was desperate, and people weren't buying it. Comments ripped her apart. "Girl, you were just caught with 2 other dudes? What are you even saying? Timeline doesn't add up. Stop gaslighting your own followers. This is so fake it hurts." One comment thread even pulled up side-by-side screenshots, her posting a date night picture with me while texting Xavier that she was homesick. The hypocrisy couldn't have been clearer. I didn't say a word. Didn't like, didn't defend myself, didn't even respond to people tagging me. Staying silent was my sharpest weapon. The louder she tried to scream fake news, the more obvious the truth became. By Friday morning, the group chat with my coworkers was full of links. A couple of them sent me the clips with messages like, "Dude, isn't this your ex?" I just replied with a thumbs up emoji. No explanations, no story, just cool detachment. Audrey, though, she was spiraling. She went live that afternoon, ranting into the camera about jealous exes and toxic men who can't handle a powerful woman. It barely lasted 10 minutes before the comments buried her. People spamming clown emojis, asking about Tom's money, asking if Xavier had more screenshots. She ended the stream in tears. And me? I sat back in my chair, sipping coffee, watching her empire burn itself down. I didn't need to touch a match. I'd set the stage, let the players walk in, and the whole thing collapsed on its own. Audrey wanted to be an influencer. Well, now she was, just not in the way she planned. The meltdown at Brass had already gutted her reputation, but instead of lying low, she doubled down. Her Instagram stories swung between crying selfies and clips of her partying with random guys like nothing had happened. It was like watching someone slam their foot on the gas while the car was already on fire. Then came the night she decided to bring the chaos straight to my front door. It was past midnight on a Tuesday. I was finishing up a late project for my tech job, headphones in, zoning out on code, when the pounding started. Not just knocking, pounding. My phone buzzed at the same time with her name lighting up the screen. Call after call. I ignored it. The pounding got louder. Then came her voice, echoing through the hallway. "Open up! You ruined my life!" I stood up, took a breath, and cracked the door just enough to see her. She'd probably tailgated in behind a neighbor since her key was already deactivated. Mascara smeared, hair a tangled mess swaying like she could barely keep her balance. In one hand, she was holding her purse, in the other, a crumpled phone. "Go home, Audrey," I said, calm as ever. "This isn't your place anymore." She shoved hard against the door, slipping past me before I could close it. Suddenly, she was in my living room, screaming, throwing her bag onto the couch like she still lived there. "You think you're so smart, don't you?" she spat. "You humiliated me. Everyone's laughing at me because of you." She grabbed one of the picture frames off my shelf and hurled it against the wall. Glass shattered across the floor. Then it was books, a lamp, anything she could get her hands on. My apartment sounded like a demolition site. I didn't move, just stood with my arms crossed, watching her tear through my stuff like a tornado. The more I stayed calm, the angrier she got. "You ruined everything!" she screamed again. Then she stumbled into the kitchen. I heard the drawer yank open. When she turned back around, she had one of my steak knives in her hand. For a second, the room froze. She pointed it at me, shaking, her eyes wild. "I should make you pay. You took everything from me." I didn't flinch, just kept my voice low and even. "Think carefully, Audrey, because the only thing left for you to lose is your freedom." The hallway door opened down the hall. My neighbor's voice called out, "I'm calling the cops." Another door cracked open, a phone already recording. Audrey screamed and waved the knife, but the sight of the cameras must have hit her. She dropped it with a clatter, then collapsed on the couch, sobbing into her hands. By the time the cops arrived, she was still crying but too out of it to argue. They asked me if I wanted to press charges for property damage and harassment. I just pointed to the broken glass, the knife on the floor, and the neighbors in the hallway with their phones still out. It wasn't even a debate. They cuffed her right there, walked her out of the building while she screamed over her shoulder, "He set me up! He's a nobody." That video hit local gossip pages within an hour. The next morning, I had an officer knocking on my door with paperwork for a restraining order. He said it would be smart to file, since she'd already crossed into dangerous territory. I signed it that afternoon. Meanwhile, her parents were finally getting dragged into the fallout. Her brother Derek, a decent guy by the way, told me later their dad's business partners had seen the mugshot that made it onto every gossip blog and even a couple news sites. The aspiring influencer was now officially labeled as a criminal. That wasn't good for the family's image. They cut her off financially within the week, and as if her own actions weren't enough, more skeletons started tumbling out. Screenshots of her buying followers, DM screenshots where she begged brands to gift her products in exchange for exposure, even receipts showing half the designer stuff she flaunted online were knockoffs shipped from overseas. The image she'd built, the one she thought made her untouchable, was shredded beyond repair. Her bail hearing came up fast, and the judge didn't waste time. Between the harassment and the stunt with the knife, it was clear she wasn't stopping. He revoked her bail on the spot. Watching her get led back into custody in an orange jumpsuit, while her parents sat in silence behind her, was the kind of finality no influencer filter could hide. Audrey had always chased clout, always needed to be the center of attention. She got it now, just not the way she imagined. And me? I walked out of that courthouse calm, collected, and completely done. For the first time in months, I didn't feel like I was carrying her chaos around with me. No buzzing phone, no late-night knocks on my door, no waiting for the next disaster. Just quiet. And honestly, quiet felt like winning. I moved into a smaller place in Harrison the next week. Nothing fancy, just clean walls and no memories of Audrey dripping off the furniture. While packing, I found all the junk she'd given me. The watch she bragged about that I later realized was bought with Tom's money. The cologne she said would make me smell less like a code nerd. Even a shirt she swore would make me look more like Xavier. All of it went into donation bags. I dropped them at Goodwill and drove away without looking back. The court dates kept coming. She pled guilty to harassment and to the stunt with the knife. Her lawyer tried the mental health angle, saying she needed treatment instead of punishment, but the judge wasn't having it. With her record of tantrums and threats, he gave her 6 months in jail with time served counting toward it, then 2 years probation after. Mandatory therapy twice a week. No social media accounts for the entire probation. She also had to pay restitution, basically covering my therapy bills and moving costs. Watching her stand there in an orange jumpsuit, hands cuffed, hair grown out with her dark roots showing, I barely recognized the girl who once strutted around calling herself a brand. She just looked small, hollow. Her parents sat in the back row. Her mom cried into a tissue the whole time, while her dad just stared straight ahead, stone-faced. Derek caught me in the hallway after and said, "We failed her. For years. Always bailed her out, always made excuses. And now she's paying for it. I just nodded. I wasn't in the mood for their family's realizations. A few months later, I was on my way to a conference in Boston and stopped at a turnpike rest stop for gas. That's when I saw her. Audrey, hunched over at a pump, wearing baggy sweats, hair in a messy bun, no makeup, driving some beat-up Civic that looked older than both of us. For a second, our eyes met. She looked down immediately, turned her back, shoulders caved like she wanted to disappear. I walked inside for coffee and never said a word. That 2-second glance told me everything I needed to know. Life after her wasn't instant sunshine, but it was mine again. I built new routines, found a different gym across town, switched up my commute so I wouldn't pass places that reminded me of her, started grabbing coffee from a shop near my office where nobody knew my business. Slowly, the noise around her quieted. People stopped tagging me in gossip threads. At work, the whispers died down, and my boss even gave me a bump to senior developer. Somewhere in that stretch, I met Sarah. Not at a bar, not on an app, just at a bookstore where she was picking up stuff for her third-grade class. She didn't have Instagram, didn't care about clout, didn't even know what half of Audrey's drama was about. That alone felt like a reset button. With her, everything was simple, real. No need to perform for strangers online. Audrey's family eventually sold their Newark house and moved to Pennsylvania. Derek emailed me once, attaching a scanned copy of some apology letter Audrey wrote in therapy. Most of it was just her blaming Xavier for cheating on her, blaming her parents for enabling her, blaming me for exposing her instead of just walking away. It was the same story she'd been telling herself forever. Everyone's fault, but hers. I read it once and deleted it. The last time her name came up was months later when Jenna, of all people, stopped me at Penn Station. She said Audrey was working at some nonprofit in Pennsylvania, still in therapy, still keeping her head down. "She's boring now," Jenna said with a shrug. But maybe boring is what she needed. And maybe she was right. For me, closure didn't come from watching Audrey crash. It came from realizing I'd already moved past it while she was still stuck. I didn't need her apology, didn't need her family's explanations, didn't even need the gossip pages to validate what I went through. I had my life back. One weekend, Sarah, Marcus, and a couple friends grabbed dinner at a small place in Newark. We sat outside, laughing over stupid stories from college, passing plates back and forth. At one point, Sarah found an old photo while helping me unpack. Me and Audrey at the shore, smiling like we were happy. She looked at it and said, "You both look happy here." "We were performing happy," I told her. Now I know the difference. We raised our glasses. Not to revenge, not to Audrey, not to the mess she left behind. Just to new beginnings, lessons learned, and finally being free of someone else's chaos. The Audrey chapter was closed. And this time, it stayed that way. YouTube just dropped this new hype feature. If you're hooked on this story, smash that hype button. It tells YouTube this video deserves to blow up, and it keeps even crazier stories coming your way.